Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the anime Fairy Tail Season 1. And was kind of interested to see what this anime was about. I've heard people talk about the name of it, not really delve too deeply into what it is. And Microsoft was doing an anime sale through their Microsoft Store and Xbox One, and they had the first season for free. And I'm like, okay, let's check this out and see what this is about. And it's only 12 episodes, and that only factors into the pacing of it. But other than that, I kind of really liked what I saw. Now, this is more of the kind of magical one. It's in this kingdom of Fior where magic is real, and it's kind of like an everyday thing. So you'd go and you'd get magical remedies for certain things, and then there's others that use it like an art and whatnot. And that's where we've got the wizards and everything in guilds, and they're all trying to vie to be the best kind of guild. And then the main one that's talked about is Fairy Tail, and they're the most infamous because yeah, they get stuff done, but usually ends up destroying a lot of stuff. And I really kind of like the tone that they set in that. It's just kind of crazy and kind of goofy, kind of comedy stuff. I've never watched One Piece, but I got a very One Piece vibe off of it in that it's done to be fun, whereas One Piece is about pirates doing stuff. I've never watched it, but I've seen the kind of trailers and seen people talking about it, where it's kind of a high adventures kind of stuff. That's kind of what I got off of the 12 episodes that I watched here. And we're introduced in the first episode to this character, Lucy, who wants to join Fairy Tales, like a fangirl of the guild, reading the magazines and everything, and kind of just wants to have adventures. So she's kind of looking around and everything, and she meets up with this character, Natsu, who is a member of Fairy Tail, but we don't know that in the beginning until he's dealing with this one wizard because he's looking for a dragon, the dragon that raised him, and that deals into his type of dragon magic, dragon slayer magic and all that. And of course she gets kidnapped by the dude who's posing as Salamander, who is actually Natsu, and takes her and all these girls that they're pretty much going as sex slaves and stuff like that into servitude. And it was holy shit, that took a dark turn really fast. But then Natsu kind of punches in and is alright, I'm ready to fight. But we get into his character's biggest weakness, which is motion sickness. And not just it's really bad motion sickness where he gets knocked out, boats, trains, freaking cars, and just if it ain't him walking, he gets taken out pretty much. It's damn. But he is able to kind of get Lucy out of the situation because he's got his sidekick Cappy, which is a talking cat. And it's a really funny talking cat because it's got limited flight capabilities, does its own kind of stuff, and just does really interesting observations. He's a really good comedic relief, but kind of given his own times to shine when he's talking about certain things or food, because food's a big thing with Natsu and Happy. They're always hungry. And then just seeing Natsu kind of bust out his brand of fire magic and just beat the crap out of people. And that's another thing. The comedy is done very well because that is a big kind of center stone of this anime. And the fight scenes are done pretty well as well. It's kind of like Dragon Ball in that sense. If you like Dragon Ball, this is you're going to be kind of interested in this one as well. Because it's kind of got the same mix, more heavily weighted towards the comedy, but when we do get an action scene, it's pretty well done and you can follow it pretty well and understand what's going on. So once that kind of we get our characters introduced, of course, Natsu takes Lucy, gets her inducted into Fairy Tail. We get kind of more introduced into what kind of is going to be going on through the show. There's notices on the notice board for quests, for money, and of course Lucy needs it because she's rented this house and she needs it for rent money, food money, and all that stuff. And we kind of also get introduced to Natsu's character, who's the typical kind of good guy character. I mean, yeah, he does stuff for food, but he also does what's right. And if it deals with stuff with people who've lost their parents or whatnot, or have gone missing, one of the wizards from Fairy Tail was sent on a mission to take care of these monsters and hadn't come back, and he rushes out to go find out what's going on with this person because he doesn't want that kind of pain of him, who didn't know his true parents, to happen to this kid. And it's not done over dramatically, but it's done to nice character development. My only gripe is there really isn't too much character development, but granted, there's only 12 episodes. And there's like 8 seasons. At least from what it was telling me on the store that I could buy it from. And I understand that you can only do so much character development in that short of a time. And with introducing, kind of setting up the world and everything that these 12 episodes have done, they did a pretty decent job in setting up characters that I want to know more about. I want to know more about Lucy because towards the end, after they've done missions that have been funny and all that, we find out that she's like writing home to her mom to tell her dad not to worry about her or whatnot. So we're like, what's going on with that? Natsu is not completely wrapped up or anything. We are just introduced that he's looking for this dragon. That's his father. And we're introduced to other characters. Gray, who's kind of Natsu's not polar opposite, more like elemental opposite, in that he's an ice magician and Natsu's fire. So, of course, they got like that. Which he's an interesting character playing off the truth that his clothes are always coming off. And he doesn't even notice sometimes that his clothes are coming off, where characters would be like, great, you're in your underwear again. He's like, damn it, how did this occur? And it's like, really funny. It's like out of nowhere, but once it keeps rolling on, it's like, it's funny enough in its own way. It's not overdone to death, and it's done sparingly enough that it's not like, oh god, he doesn't have his clothes on again. And we also are introduced to Urza, who is one of the strongest magicians at Fairy Tail, and one not to be fucked with. Because everybody's like, don't mess with her. They even got these legends like, oh, she's so powerful, she can kick down 2 mountains. And it's like, holy shit. And her character is like the kind of like essential protagonist that you would think about. And her magic is more on like summoning weapons and armor, and hers is actually the most thought out and more that I want to dig into because she's got like weapons and armors for all kinds of situations. Now granted, it is an anime and there's some that are like just like sexy armors and all that, but yet she still has the power to kick your ass. And then she's got different kinds of armors for different kinds of situations, which is kind of cool because we see that they had Gray, Natsu, Urza, and Lucy had gone on this quest, and the prerequisite was that Natsu's like, okay, I'll go with you on this, but you have to fight me afterwards. So they get to that fight, and Urza pulls out this flame-resistant armor, and I'm like, that's pretty cool. And she's got all different kinds of ones because she has her requisite kind of like power armor, which is like this like angel winged kind of thing that's like, holy shit, that's actually pretty cool. And then her flame one, and then she's got one for like cooking too, and like cooking utensils because they come up with a situation that they get really hungry and they're like, hey, look at these monsters, let's cook them up and eat them. And she uses that to happen. Granted, they find out later on that it was a town that was using dark magic, and it like backfired and turned them into like creatures and all that. And they're like, we ate people or something, didn't we? I don't know, because it was just an interesting situation. But there isn't really an overarching plot. This is more of a set-up season. That's my only true kind of gripe, in that there's no giant overarching plot with this. Couple episodes deal with kind of setting us up and get us invested into the world, and then towards the end we get 2 kind of big bads. We get one with like the Dark Guild, which is a guild that was, I'm essentially going to say disavowed. They were an assassin guild, and they're like, you can't do that anymore. And they're like, fuck you, we're going to still do that. And they just went dark and continued killing people and all that stuff. And they were pissed off because they thought that was their right. So they get this flute called Lullaby, which was made by a dark magician, and it can kill with any song. Like, if you play a song on it, it kills people. At least I think. I don't know if there's a specific song that you need to play, but it was just said that you needed to play it to kill people. It's like, okay, that's pretty effective. So, he was an interesting villain in Aragorn and like the whole Dark Guild and all that. They didn't do too much with it because their main plan was to use Lullaby to kill the meeting of all the guild masters in this one town. And Natsu was able to take out Aragorn and take out the flute at the moment. But then one of the Dark Guild took it, ran out ahead, and was about to use it, but decided not to. And then the flute transformed into a giant wood monster, which then all hell broke loose. Like, it's a demon thing! I'm like, what? But see, that doesn't completely break what's going on because it's still kind of absurd and fits within what's going on. So, of course, our core heroes, the big three, beat the crap out of it and break Lullaby, and yay, everything's good. It's like, but what's going to be going on later? So then we're introduced to kind of more of like the tiered system in the Fairy Tail Guild, and that there's like a second level with S rank notice board notices, quests, and everything, which you have to be cleared for. Of course, Natsu has Happy Steal one. It's like, hey, come on, Lucy, let's do this. It's like, wait a minute, there's a special key that you can get, and Lucy's brand of magic is using keys to open up contract spirits. She's made contract with these spirits, and which was funny seeing her do those in action, because she would like plot out, okay, what days are you available? Okay, these days work for me. Okay, cool. I'll call you on these days and all that. And it's like, alright. And she's like, okay, I'll do it for this. And they go, and of course at first it's like, how is this going to be that difficult? We see that they go, and this island is cursed. It turns people into monsters during the moonlight, because the moon's going all kind of funky. And we find out that there is a demon encased in ice, which is connected to Gray, whose master encased that demon in ice and gave her light to do that. And we find out that Gray's other, like, the other apprentice to their master is the one doing this because he wants to unfreeze the demon to defeat the demon to pay homage to the master, even though he thinks that Gray is the one that was responsible for the master's death. And that's kind of where it ends. And I was like, dang, it's still ending with the fight between them. Natsu's kind of thrown off because he got frozen a little bit. And Lucy and Happy are going to protect the people of the village because he sent some lackeys to kill them. And it just really ends abruptly for a first season kind of thing. And that's kind of like my biggest gripe with it. I was kind of okay with it just being an introductory one and having like kind of smaller flash fights with like characters to set up kind of like different portions of the world. But this just kind of like ended too abruptly for me. Even considering how like Bleach ended, at least Bleach led into like, okay, this is where this is going, and you've got a definitive kind of end to the arc. This has kind of no definitive end, and you're just like, wow. It felt really kind of cut off like, hey, there's more stories. Like, I know there's more story. That's because you didn't finish this one. I like it when they do, and you can tell an anime arc with a season ends where it's supposed to. Like, it finishes up. It doesn't have to completely tie up all loose ends, but the pertinent conflict needs to be resolved in a way that we can at least know that this is ended, have some kind of, like, maybe a little bit of closure to what's gone on, so that way we can kind of know what to expect going forward. Granted, we know what to expect going forward in this because the conflict has not been ended. But overall, I really kind of enjoyed what I watched and will probably trying to look more into this going forward. Because it does seem my kind of anime in that it works on the premise of what it's given, magic and wizards and all that stuff. The kind of crazy absurdity of the world in that it does the comedy pretty well and it does the action pretty well. I just hope that they kind of resolve some of the issues of kind of pacing with conflicts and arcs and do more with character development. Because there's interesting characters there and I'd like to see them develop more. So those are my opinions on the anime. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.